Laughing Vikings Live. High vibe chats with actors, comedians, and creators, plus stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, and most importantly, you. That's right, join us every Monday for new episodes, and you can be a part of the show on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitch. Ask questions and interact in the comments, and make sure to share this with your actor, comedian, and creator friends so they can be a part of the show too. Can't make a live show? No problem. You can catch up on your favorite podcast platform and visit laughingvikings.com to find out how you can join the cast and crew. All right, it's time for today's show. Buckle up and make sure you stick around to the end because we have a special surprise for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is Laughing Vikings Live. Happy Monday Fun Day. Let's go. Episode 50. Welcome. We did it. We made it to 50 episodes. This is a celebration episode. It's going to be a look back at the past, the then, and the now, and the future. And it's going to be great. Hello. Welcome, BK Broiler. And why don't we kick this off with a little celebration? We're going hardcore. We have sugar-free Red Bulls here. Cheers to you, BK.
Cheers to you, Lars.
Let's crack these. In lieu of champagne, we're getting all fired up on Red Bull. We're going to be a podcast. Like, those guys were really energetic in episode 50.
It really looks like champagne, too. It's really
does kind of look, yeah, it's bubbly and sparkly. Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know if you want to make a special toast, but we'll talk more. But there you go. Congrats on episode 50. You've been here for 31 of those. Is that right?
Yeah, 31 of these episodes.
Nice. Well, here's to another 500 or 5,000.
Let's do it. I love it.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Oh,
bull,
yeah.
Right? That's good bull.
Ooh.
I was saying, we're going to get so fired up and so jacked up. We're going to be talking so fast that people have to listen to this episode on slow motion in order to hear what we're saying. Hey guys, yeah. Here we are at number 50. Oh, we're going to have such a good time. There we go. It's already kicking in. Welcome to all the viewers and the listeners. And special shout out. We're going to talk more about everyone who's been involved in Laughing Vikings over the first 4 years and these 50 episodes. And these 50 episodes haven't been over the course of those 4 years. Most of them have been this year. But there's been a lot of people involved, but especially you, the viewer, the listeners, the community of actors and comedians, everyone who's ever come to a show or come to a session or watched a live stream or listened to a podcast episode. Thank you for hopping on board for this journey. And I fucking guarantee you, we are just getting started. So kudos to you and thank you, BK Broiler, for being a part of that. Drink up. We are getting Red Bull wasted here. Shout out to Red Bull. I don't usually drink Red Bull, but when I do, it's usually on a 50th anniversary of a podcast.
I don't think I've ever had Red Bull either. This will be an experience for both of us.
You've never had a Red Bull?
I don't drink energy drinks. I drink pop a lot, and Dr. Pepper is probably the greatest drink there ever was.
Wow!
And oh my god, so I got a Soda Stream for Christmas, and it is probably the best gift I have ever gotten. It is the most used thing in my house. I can now drink pop whenever I feel like it, and I can create it. I can create how much fizziness is in it.
Who gave it to you?
My mom.
Wow. Shout out to Mrs. Knox.
Yeah. Linda, thank you.
For getting her son addicted to pop by buying a machine.
It's probably a good idea just to wean me off of actually buying it from in the store all the time.
Right.
Because now I'm actually drinking less of it.
And it's probably cheaper too. You're probably saving so much money.
So much. The things of syrup are $6.99, $7.99. They're great. And then the tubes of CO2 is $22 if you bring back the other one. So yeah, Oh, I can't say enough great things about SodaStream.
I think you should open your own soda company called the BK Broil.
Ooh, that'd be fun. We have so many great flavors.
Shout out to Adam Daniel Mazet here. Well, if it isn't the sizzling BK Broiler and Admiral Lars Tiberius Kirk on comedic duty. Hoo-ah! Thank you, Adam. Adam is one of our regular actor community members here at Laughing Vikings and also a frequent live streamer. You've seen him popping up. So thank you for tuning in, week out. Adam, we appreciate you. We've got a good one today. If you missed the very beginning, you know that this is the 50th anniversary or 50th episode, not anniversary.
50th episode, yeah.
Right, 50th episode. So on the agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to try that again. See, the Red Bull's kicking in already. Having an allergic reaction to the Red Bull. We're going to talk about where we've been, where we are now, where we're going, and sort of some announcements about Laughing Vikings. One of them is that we are going to call this the season finale to season 1 of Laughing Vikings, a 50-episode season, sort of our birthing season to figure out what this is. And we're going to talk about what's upcoming in season 2 and a little bit of a pivot. That's a good pivot. It's one of the favorite pandemic words. We're going to pivot into season 2, and we're going to start doing some things a little differently here. So where do we want to begin?
Well, let's start with how Laughing Vikings began. Let's start at the very beginning, Lars. We always like to do that.
Well, technically, it began in the loins of my father, Fred Larson, way back in the day in 1978. And I was born. But how Laughing Vikings originally started, it was spawned in 2017, and it was really interesting. The origin story of it was I was living outside of Toronto. I had been a stand-up comic and an actor since 2009. I had lived in Toronto, and I was in a relationship that moved out of Toronto, and I was living in Guelph. That relationship, we ended up going separate ways. So it was kind of at a time in my life where I was moving back into Toronto and really trying to figure out who I was and where I fit in, not only as an actor, but just as a person in the world, which I'm sure anyone can relate who's been in a relationship. Sometimes after a relationship, there's a little bit of identity crisis where you're like, okay, well, now who am I? Where am I? Where do I go? So I was looking to sort of re-plug myself into the Toronto arts community. And also I was looking for a home. I didn't know where to live. So I was sort of in transition. And a good friend of mine, you've heard him, you heard his name probably brought up several times here on the podcast throughout. And there's an episode with him featured in it, an early episode, probably like episode 5 or 6. Trevor Ketchison literally lives across the street. And I had a week where when I wasn't living in Toronto, I had back-to-back auditions. 4 days in a row, I had auditions, and I didn't want to commute. I didn't have a place here in Toronto yet. And Trevor was great enough to let me just basically flop on his couch. And we were running scenes, like he would run lines with me for my auditions. He's also an actor as well and a filmmaker. So I was helping him with his. And sort of the idea of community started to be like, oh, this is way easier when you have another actor to run this stuff with. Also, I just sort of became aware of this neighborhood in Queen East and Riverside as the studio district. And from his place, I was literally walking 10 or 15 minutes to all of my auditions because Jigsaw, Lisa Parison, Milestone, Larissa Mayer, a bunch of the casting directors, they're all in this neighborhood. So it sort of started to occur to me like, okay, this is the neighborhood I need to be in. At the time, though, I was in between work and I hadn't booked anything too recently, so I didn't have a ton of cash. So I was also concerned about affording a Toronto place. And I didn't want roommates. I was old enough where I'm like, I can't have roommates. I'm not going to go from a relationship where we had a house and all that to living in. I didn't want to live in a basement apartment, and I didn't want to have roommates. So I was sort of trying to be creative and figure out, how do I make this work? And so the idea of finding a work-live commercial space that I could use as a studio space and potentially either rent it out or provide services out of the studio really early on, just to make ends meet. It was like, I don't want to be homeless, and I want to have a cool spot. And I knew I couldn't afford a condo and a studio space. So I made the decision really early on. It was kind of a no-brainer, where it was like, okay, I need this work-live studio space. I'll give up a little bit of the luxury and the niceties of having a nice home in order to have a studio space, knowing that sooner or later having the studio will afford me all the luxuries that I need in my life, including one day a silent yacht, the 62-footer. But I knew if I didn't have the studio space in the first place, a lot of that stuff wouldn't come true. So over the course of literally a week, I scrambled together first month, last month, deposit, registered a business, bought the domain name for Laughing Vikings, and was able to get this space. And this was all February 2017. So we're coming up on, well, I guess it'd be 5 years this coming February. So it was all like, it was really out of necessity, but still with a bit of a vision. And then it evolved. At first it was me and a handful of friends who I sort of started blasting it out there. I have the studio space. I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I was pitching it as, if you have a podcast or if you need YouTube videos and green screen videos. A friend of mine who was on the podcast last week in episode 49, Mandy Mae Cheatham, she was very well connected in the acting community and auditioning a lot. And she sort of nudged me, gave me a nudge and said, hey, what actors need is a space to shoot auditions, self-tape auditions. And this was before pandemic. There was still a lot of self-tapes then. Now it's all self-tape. So it was very visionary and prophetic of her to lean me in that direction. So very quickly, it was twofold. It became a podcast studio, was what a lot of it was in the beginning. Mark DeBonis, who's a fantastic stand-up comic, had a podcast network called the 10-Minute Podcast Network, where like he had dozens of other comedians on his network producing their podcast. But rather than have a studio in their basement where they got to invite people to their home, it was nice to have a public space that was easily accessible. So early on, we were doing a ton of podcasting here and a ton of self-tapes. And then it just sort of grew and grew and grew and grew from there. And something that I want to share with you, one sec, I'll be right back. I found this is my notepad from that year. And I highly suggest, if you don't have a notepad or a journal or something where you're keeping track of things, it's amazing for your life in the present as you're using it. But it's also amazing as a retrospective thing to look back and be like, oh shit, who was I 5 years ago? And what was I dealing with? This notepad literally has the first time I ever wrote the words Laughing Vikings in it. And hilariously, I was like, okay, what could the name be? And I was thinking like, what are we? We're a production company. We're going to be on social media, a little bit of marketing. So I didn't really know what it was, but the first two things I wrote down as business names, and think of this now in terms of a pandemic, was Viral Viking and Virus Viking. Those were the first two, and I was thinking in terms of viral videos. Mm-hmm. But now I think, like, imagine I chose the term Viral Viking and now I had that in the middle of a pandemic. That's either a great or a horrible name for a pandemic. And then down the page, I don't know if you can see this, down the page by the bottom, I have Viking Studios and then Laughing Viking Studios, which came from the fact that on my dad's side, we're of Danish heritage. His father, my grandfather on my dad's side was born in Denmark, and I'm a stand-up comic and I love comedy. So it was like, instead of the horrific raping and pillaging Vikings, in my head, I'm like, rather than extend that kind of legacy. I want to change the legacy of Vikings into laughing Vikings, the kind of Vikings that they take over your area, but with laughter, not with burning all your houses down and stealing all your stuff. So that was the beginning. That was 2017. And I also want to point out, I had no business starting a business. I never went to business school. I don't have a background in that. I had some corporate background, but that was in a multi-million-dollar business that was already set up. So I was a manager, a corporate manager with a financial services company. So I had a little sense of management and leadership and kind of how things might run, but no business background. And I think about it, that February, there's a few times in my life where I've gone all chips in, like where I literally took all my chips on a poker table when it was like, I'm all in. One of them was switching from the corporate career into stand-up. That was on a 180 on a dime, basically quitting a corporate career and instantly throwing myself into stand-up and acting. And then the second, that was 2009. The second time was 2017. I took it was all of my money. My first month, last month, and deposit was all the money I had in the bank account. And it wasn't a ton of money. It was like, maybe it was $6,000 or $5,000. It was less. It was probably $5,000 at the time. Our rent was cheaper. But also some credit card. I think part of my deposit, I think I took cash advance off a credit card in order to have enough money to cover all that. And I think that was a huge moment for me to have the trust in myself and the I don't know what you'd call it, the courage, I guess is what you'd call it, to just be like, okay, I believe in myself. This is the direction I want to go. What does it take? It's going to take all of my money to do it. And so I would not that I would encourage anyone to put themselves at risk or put their family at risk if you have a family financially, but so far it's worked out for me. And if I didn't make that leap, we wouldn't be here today. And a ton of amazing things, especially community wise, has come from that. So it's something that I'm really proud of. But again, I had at the time had no business experience. So like I was Googling everything. I was like, where do I register a business? How do I get that done? And I at the time registered as a sole proprietorship. We're now an incorporation. As of last June, we incorporated Laughing Vikings, but it was all like, I literally Googled shit. I watched YouTube videos, and it was at the time it was only me too. So this journal or whatever has like the first few months where like I have like lists of to-dos that I crossed out. So it was like, buy an SD card. I need curtains. I need to buy signs. I need to make business cards. I need to register. I need to buy a laptop. I need to buy a coat rack. Like there's the first day in here. Oh, there's also the original. This is the original mock-up of a logo right here. Let me show you that. That's
cool.
That's the first logo. So I'm like, okay, what's the logo going to be? Some kind of Viking hat, Viking face. Here's another one here. It's like, oh, I wanted to have like maybe some microphones, maybe some lights and some TV cameras. And then here's one here that says, then I got like a tagline where it says at the bottom there, if you can see, it says Legacy by Laughter, which was kind of what I was thinking. It ended up being the first logo. I'll find it here, which, by the way, I designed on. Oh, no, I didn't design it. I hired someone on Fiverr. I sort of sent them this mock-up. And then this is the original logo that was on our door out front. Awful, terrible. It's terrible. It's ugly. It's way too busy. It's way too many colors to make, like when you're making t-shirts and things like that, the more colors are on it, the more brutal it is to make. But this was lights, cameras, laughs. Now it just hangs as a sort of a souvenir here. And a bunch of the OG Vikings have signed it, including Mandy. She signed it. Anto Chan's on here. Trevor Ketchison is on here. Lindsay Ogus is on here. a bunch of people who were sort of the early OG people. Rashana Cumberbatch. Yeah, there's Mandy Mayhem from last episode. Thank you for making my dreams come true. Love Mandy Mayhem, Mandy Cheatham. So yeah, so that's a little bit of the origin story, but it's just crazy to go back because I think about it and it's like I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Like I had no business doing it. Like it was all like pie in the sky, but I believed enough to not stop myself to do it. Was the crazy thing. And if I had have logically thought through it, I wouldn't have done it. And I actually briefly, like for like a day or two, I was like all gung ho. I came to see the space and I was like, fuck yeah, we're going to do this. And for like a 24-hour period, I was like, oh shit, like the money thing scared me. And I was like, oh crap, man. Like this is too much. I can't put all my, like, what if it was like, basically, what if I can't pay my rent? And there was a month early on, if I came in here February or March, probably, I think April, I didn't make rent because I had no money when I started. So every month was going from zero to make rent. That was like the first year of Laughing Vikings was just make rent. That was it. So that at the end of the month, I could pay rent and have a place and have the studio. And there was a month where the first of the month came around and I didn't have rent. And leading up to that, it was so stressful. But what I realized, and this is the thing that if you've ever not made rent, nothing happens. In my head, I'm like, oh, disasters everything's gonna light on fire. I'm gonna be out on the street. But nothing happens if you don't make rent.
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging people to not make rent. And I'm very proud that since then, with the exception of 3 months during COVID, where we got some COVID relief, every month I've paid rent on time, and I'm really proud of that. But nothing happened. I got maybe a couple days, I got a notice saying like, hey, where's your rent? And I knew that a few days after the first of the month, it wasn't like I was concerned that the money would never be there. I was just late. But the landlord messaged me and was like, hey, where's the rent? And then I was like, okay, the rent's coming. Maybe I paid it by the 3rd or the 5th or the 7th. Maybe I got a penalty of $50 for being late or something like that. Yeah. But it was also a real eye-opener for all the worry that you might have for that kind of thing. Man, this is going to be by the way, I was in conservatory. I was in day 1 conservatory today, which is also very emotional. So I'm jacked full of emotion, and now I'm jacked full of Red Bull. So we'll probably cry a bunch of times, or I will at least. I don't know about BK, but it was a real revelation of like, no matter what worst case scenario you paint in your head, it's probably never going to come true. Like that. And that was like, oh, okay. Worst case scenario did come happen. I didn't make enough money to pay rent and nothing happened. So I'm pretty much going to be okay. So it was really cool. And it's been great to build from that. And we've had thousands of audition sessions, like literally thousands, hundreds of actors, but thousands of auditions we've recorded here, hundreds of podcast episodes between everyone. And the community of people that now I'm connected to because of Laughing Vikings has 10x'd my life and career too. Because previously as a stand-up comic, as an actor, it's very lone wolfy. And we've talked about this before, where you can feel like you're alone in this. And if you're not in a community, it just takes a lot of the joy out of it. So that and I didn't anticipate that. I didn't realize in my head when I was starting at Laughing Vikings, it was to make ends meet and to fulfill some of my personal dreams. And almost all of the good stuff that has come from Laughing Vikings has come from the fact that it's connected to me to community. So many more actors, so many more stand-up comics, so many more writers, producers, directors, casting directors. And I wouldn't have known any of them without starting this community and having a space. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And Lars, honestly, what you've been able to do with this space, what you've been able to do with this company is magical. And there's no other way to describe it. What you've done is fantastic. You've created a space for actors to come, to play, to enjoy the work again, to find the joy, to to have a good time when they're auditioning, which isn't something that's easy to do, especially with auditions. And the fact that you've been able to create a safe space for that and to be able to do it through this pandemic.
Right.
Again, fantastic.
Right.
Fantastic work that you've been able to do, Lars. And you continue to inspire me all the time, especially with your positivity, the way that you say you've only gone chips all in to a few times. Honestly, I feel like you do chips all in every single day. And
right.
I completely admire that about you. It's not something that I grew up doing, and it's not something I was ever raised to try and do. And like you have really inspired me, Lars, especially over the course of these 31 episodes that we've done together through the year that we've worked together. Like, you continuously try and do things that are outside the box, and that's amazing. And it's always inspiring, and it's always fun to see. So don't ever lose that. And I don't think you ever will. And I really do admire that about you, Lars.
Thank you.
Yeah. Adam has a little factoid for us. LV is Roman numerals equals 55, but incidentally, L is 50 and V is 5. And given today's Jubilee cast, which I believe is episode 50, your domain selection was nothing short of prophetic. L, first initial of your name too. And that's a cool little note.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And fun fact for all the listeners, it's not like this is a secret, but actually my first name legally is not Lars. My legal name is Joseph. I might be blowing some minds right now. My government name is Joseph Frederick Larson, which is where Lars comes from, my last name. Also a fun fact, my initials are JFL, which, if you know anything about comedy, Just for Laughs, or JFL 42, two of the biggest stand-up comedy festivals in the world. So ever since I started stand-up, I was always kind of tickled by the fact that my initials were the same initials. Even though I go by Lars, my legal initials are the same initials as the most renowned comedy festival in the world. So I always thought that was pretty cool. Going back to something that you said too, Brandon, about the start and building a space. I've always really been aware of vibe and feeling. Like, the amount of times I've reworked how things look in here and how things feel. And then what I always do is I move shit around, or I add something. I add a poster or a picture. And then I've done this literally hundreds of times, where then I'll walk out of the studio and I'll walk in and try to think, if I had never been here, and I'm going to fucking cry all day. I can't believe
this is what happens when you start a concern.
If I've never been in here and I'm walking in here for the first time, trying to envision and feel, what does it feel like to walk in here?
Mm-hmm.
And I think of that everywhere I go. And what does it feel like? What do you see first? Where are your eyes drawn to? What's the messaging? Whether it's like a good vibe sign, or that no villains allowed, or when you walk up the stairs past our red carpet and our velvet rope, and then you can see all the way into the bathroom, which also has a velvet rope and a red carpet there. All of that to make people feel fun and feel positive and feel professional and feel like they're in this game and in this creative space. And I've always wanted to have the vibe of like a clubhouse, literally like a clubhouse, like when you were a kid, if you took all your best friends and you put all your favorite posters up everywhere and all your cool knickknacks and all that kind of stuff, so that it had that clubhouse vibe where you felt like you belonged. Rather than I couldn't have, but the alternative would be, if I had the money, I could have gone really high tech and made it seem like a really fancy high tech studio with all those bells and whistles, which often can feel very sterile. And just sometimes you walk into a studio space where you're like, this doesn't feel like anything. It smells like chemicals, and it just looks like a bland studio with dope equipment, but I knew what I lacked in the finances to have the top of the line equipment. I knew I could make up for that in vibe and feeling and energy, and just make it a creative space so that when people are coming, hopefully they're feeling safe, and they're feeling fun and playful, like they are when they're a kid, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And people have been coming in here and just having fun.
Right.
And that's wonderful. Especially for the auditions where they come in and they don't really want to do it, but when they leave, they had so much fun. We're laughing, we're enjoying the script, even though they may not have enjoyed it when they first came here, or that they put judgments on it before they arrived. And then we break those down and we build something that they can be proud of.
Right.
And like, I love that. I love that about coming to the space. I love that about making the tapes. And I just love seeing like the smiles as soon as they leave. Like, like just the satisfaction of knowing that it's done, that they don't need to worry about it anymore. And like, it's such an uplifting feeling to come here and just make art every day. And Lars, thank you for bringing me on for this company, for this podcast. Like, again, you have completely inspired me this year, and I have loved every second of coming to work here. And I really do find so much joy. Like, we've talked about this before. Like, I finished mine already. I wish I had more. and like, we talked
round.
Everyone gets more Red Bull. We've talked about this before. Like, yes, this isn't something that we completely want to do all the time, because we do want to be working on set more often, or like working on stage. But this has been such a great outlet that I get to come in here. I get to act. I get to read with other people. I get to feel that energy, and I get to create something that I'm proud of, that they're proud of, that they're happy to say, this is my audition. This is what I wanted to do. This is how I see the character. Everything else doesn't matter. And like, we don't have a lot of control in the casting situation. We've talked about this before.
Right.
But like, the more that you're satisfied with what you're doing, and the more you take the time to understand the relationships, to understand what you're fighting for, to understand the architecture of the scene, to understand the moment before, the more full the audition is going to be, and the better you're going to feel after you do it.
Right. Yeah. And it's going back to what you're saying about fun. It has to be fun. And unfortunately, between the stresses of booking and trying to make it as a quote unquote starving artist, or maybe you have family pressures, or the temptation to slide down the cynic path of like, oh, the writing, or oh, this business, or oh, my agent, or oh, they're just looking for a blah blah blah, or I don't fit this, I don't fit that. I was really aware of that early on too, and sad actually for actor friends and comedian friends of mine who somehow reach this spot in their career where something that's supposed to be like, it's like Tom always says, it's called a play. It's called a play. It's not called a serious, right? It's called a play. It is play. And at its basic level, it's a childlike thing of creativity and magic. And because you got to monetize things, and we live in a society where bills need to be paid, when you make that transition to professional actor, there can be a risk of the joy being sucked out of it. So I was really aware of that coming here. And I know when I brought you on, I bring people on more based on their positive attitude and vibe than any technical aspect. You didn't even know how to edit when you came on, but it was like, when people come in, if they come in with that energy of, oh yeah, this one, or the writing, or I don't know why my agent, or I haven't had time, and I just got this, or whatever the negative energy around that, I was just very clear of like, that has to be cleared out right away. Like, they can't get that from me ever. So I worked really hard to like not bring my shit into them. Like, and that's hard. Fuck, I can't believe how how much emotions are coming up here. So what I was saying was I just tried really hard to worked really hard to make sure that no matter what day I was having, for the hour that an actor is in the studio, the stakes are so high for them. Every audition could be the game changer, life changer. It doesn't always work out that way, but conceivably someone comes in here, books a role, it leads to a series regular, leads to 6 figures, leads to 7 figures, changes the trajectory of their life, their family's life, their kids' life. And if I have shitty negative energy that affects them and they don't have fun and they don't deliver the best audition, maybe that never happens. So it's a huge responsibility. And I always tell people when I bring them on, like, you got to be able to treat these auditions like they're your own, if not more important than your own, because you've been hired for the hour. We've been hired for the hour to help them with their audition. So there's no space for our own life stress. And so it is really clearing out that area, clearing out stress. And it's very similar to our job as actors, or especially as a stand-up comic. Jim Carrey once said that, fuck, man, I'm gonna cry my way through this whole episode in a good way. It's all good.
I know.
But I'm like, whoa, I can't say 3 sentences without leaking.
But it shows that this company, this business, this whole place means something to you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so beautiful to see, Lars. Like, you don't get people that like do that sort of thing.
Right.
You don't get the people that take the risks all the time. You don't see that sort of thing all the time. And the fact that we're seeing this emotion from you, we're seeing this visceral reaction to this company, the fact that you've created that. This has lasted almost 5 years.
Right.
5 years. That's amazing.
Right. With no business plan and no business having a business at all except passion. What I was going to say is Jim Carrey once said his like, what is the job of a comedian or as an actor? And it's to give the audience the space to escape from their day-to-day worries and their life's troubles and just have fun and just be entertained and to take a break from that. So yeah, I take that really seriously. I take it really seriously, so seriously that I'll cry about it today in a podcast. We'll see if we can get a clip from this. I don't think you'll be able to get a clip where I don't cry, so everything's going to be golden. We're going to be like, oh man, that episode 50 really blew us away. Yeah, no, it's great, and you're right. The reason that I am reacting this way is because it's all deep inside me like that. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say about that. But you mentioned you, and I do want to recognize that I'm so fucking grateful to have you here. You do exude all of the things that I couldn't have pictured it better. And the times when I'm out here, and I've said this to you before, when I'm in the front of the studio and I hear people in the back room, you with an actor laughing and having a great time and like being like, oh, fuck yeah, and laughing and just feeling so good. And when they leave, like, oh yeah, that went great. And we get an email from their agent saying, this was amazing, thank you so much. And then we get an email from them saying, guess what, I booked that role. And we're like, there's a lot of people, not that they're booking because they're doing it here, but we're certainly helping. And there's a lot of people booking roles here. Where'd he go? You all right?
Sorry, Luna came in.
So. Oh, okay. We have a pretty good track record of a lot of people, especially recently. There's like, I can count a dozen actors who have booked significant projects here, and we've been a part of that. And it's a big responsibility, and it's a huge joy to be able to see these people having this type of success and to know that you were a part of it. And I said this to you a couple weeks ago. Obviously, everyone, like, ideally, our long-term thing is you want to be on set yourself and you want to be on stage yourself, but you're a big part of Canadian and certainly Toronto TV and film in small, sometimes unseen and unheard ways, because all these actors, then they are going on set when they book things. They're having an impact with that production. The production does well, the episodes and the seasons do well. So there's a huge trickle down effect, and you're you are really involved, and don't ever forget that. And sometimes it is easy to forget that, where we're stuck in our own stuff, but you have a huge impact on dozens of people, and your sessions are great. And honestly, Brandon, there's a lot of times, there's a lot of times when I have been, for whatever reason, just life reasons, maybe I'm tired or maybe I'm down myself, but you always bring positive energy. You bring positive attitude to the studio here, to the point where it does uplift me. So thank you for that. And I want to let you know we have something special here for you. Episode 50. I have two certificates of excellence here. And I'm gonna read them to you on air, and I'm gonna make you blush, maybe help you cry. This one says, "Certificate of Excellence. This certifies that Brandon Knox, in recognition of stellar audition session directing, January 21 to August 21." So this is retroactive for the last 9-10 months of 2021. Dated on the 13th day of September 2021. I signed it. There's the official seal of excellence. And fun fact, while I was putting this one away, I didn't realize it, but I sliced my finger a little bit on the glass that you peel out. So there's a tiny bit of blood to go along with my sweat and tears. So you actually,
so I can clone you later.
You have my DNA. Yeah. So maybe if I'm someday when I'm long gone and you want to clone me, there it is right there. You can turn me like Jurassic Park. You can make a Classington Park right there. So this is certificate of excellence for session directing. You do an amazing job, and you put so much energy and enthusiasm into it. You never phone it in. You don't ever just be like, yeah, that's good enough. I know that you always challenge actors, and it is easy enough sometimes if you don't have the energy to be like, if an actor's like, "Oh, what do you think of that one?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's good." But so many times I hear you say, "That was great, but let's do one more where we can add this little thing." So you're always pushing people to up level. So thank you for that. And here's the second certificate of excellence. This certifies that BK Broiler, I had to use your different name there, that the BK Broiler, in recognition of stellar podcast co-hosting and editing, January 21st to August 21st, or January 21 to August 21. So this is everything up until this year, basically. Signed. There's no blood on this one. So this is the clean one. So you got two. You can choose to keep these in the studio, or if you want to take them home and add them to your collection of certificates of excellence. And I have something else, two little, it's funny because he's in the next room, but you can probably hear me now. As a little token of appreciation, I got you a new little journal here.
Ooh, bigger. Thank you.
And I'll read you. I'm gonna try and read this without crying. It says, "BK Broiler, thanks for everything you do to make LV such a special community." I got to talk loud and upbeat and energetic as to not slow down and cry. "Thanks for everything you do to make LV such a special community. We love your positive energy, enthusiasm, and commitment to the craft of acting. Your dedication to helping actors create their best auditions has had a profound ripple effect on so many careers and is impacting multiple productions and families on a daily basis. I'm certain that your work ethic and attitude will yield you the fruits of your labor, and all of your dreams will come true. I'm excited for the next chapters of Laughing Vikings, Comedy Alley, and BK Broiler. Here's to your continued success and growth. We're all lucky and there it is. I can't do it anymore. Here's to your continued success and growth. We're also lucky and happy to have you on the team LV. See you on the LV yacht, Lars, Luna, and the entire Laughing Vikings community." And it's filled with empty pages here. No blood on it yet, but you can fill it with your own blood, sweat, and tears. And one more thing, I have your very own, you saw it earlier, your very own hand tally counter. Now,
Yay!
if you're wondering what this is a hand. So you do this, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And so one of our acting coaches, Tom Todoroff, who I'm in the conservatory now, Brandon is a member of the weekly Zoom community, the weekly workshop, stemming back to, I think, Sir Laurence Olivier telling someone that he reads his lines 250 or 500 or 1,000 times. I think Michael Caine says 1,000 times. So this is literally so that when we're rehearsing, you rehearse your lines once, boom, there's one. And then you got 240 more. So you got one and I got one. So we can, and it goes up, it actually goes up to, there's 4 digits. So you can rehearse 9,999 times before you got to roll it over there. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. 1,000 times.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
And I do want to, 3 special things. Without having you here, the time when my dad was in the hospital, the studio would have been shut down. So for a month last November, December, I couldn't have been here. And so without you, you kept it going throughout that time. Without you here, I may not have been able to go down to New York to the intensive, which led me to then enroll in the conservatory. And certainly without having you here and others, there's others, but you've been the core person throughout the pandemic, certainly. And I should shout out some of the others, Katerina Vitkoff, Lucy Sanzi, Amy Emanuel is back. Before that, Trevor was here, Lorian Piana was here, Sophie Van Bastelier was here, Jesse Camacho was here. All of them have been amazing, but you especially in this last year. And without knowing that you're so rock solid, I wouldn't have had the confidence or ability to say yes to the conservatory, because I would have felt that all of the actors in the community coming here, if I'm in a conservatory for so much of my time, I would feel like I was letting them down, or they wouldn't have been able to maintain the level of service that we provide here at the studio. So thank you for that. You've afforded me the time to spend with my dad and to go to New York and to be in a conservatory. So fuck, I can't believe this, man. I mean, I can't believe it. I can believe why I'm crying, but I'm impressed. This is the most I've ever cried on a podcast.
I love it. It's
Thank
great.
You.
Thank you. Lars, thank you. You've given me so much, and I'm completely appreciative of everything that you do. And like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So, right. And I would probably be sitting on my couch, not doing anything if I wasn't doing this. So, and I've told this story before where I paced up and down. I wrestled with the fact of applying for this position for a week. And I remember arguing with my roommate and best friend, Zach, about this very thing. And I was like, I don't have any experience. I don't have any experience doing it. He's looking for experience. What do you want me to do? He's like, what do you want, Brandon? What do you want to do? And I said, I want to work at Laughing Vikings.
Wow.
And that's when I applied. And so that, I think I gave some testimonials from people that I had worked with for their thing. Maybe this'll give me a bump up or something like that. Of I've done it. I just don't know all of it yet.
Right. And it's not that you didn't have experience. You have a ton of acting experience. You have a ton of training. You have a ton of theater experience, TV, film. You didn't have the editing side of it per se, or maybe you hadn't done it in a studio per se. But at that time, I know you had helped your friends and roommates with self-tape. So you understood the process. People have to really looking for working actors because you need to understand the casting process and how auditions work and what productions are working for, and certainly the craft of acting as it relates to storytelling, specifically in an audition setting. And you did have all those. And it's so funny that you mentioned that, because the second I saw your name come through, I only knew you a little bit. I knew you through the Actor Advantage program, and I knew you through Inch of Your Life. Some of my friends were in that and you were in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew your vibe. I knew that you were positive. I knew that you were upbeat. And I knew that you were serious about acting. I knew that like it wasn't like you were a dabbler, like you were a lifer, like you were in it. So the second I saw your name, I was like, fuck yeah, Brandon Knox, great. And I think I reached out immediately. So it's amazing and very serendipitous how it's come.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's such a great story retroactively. Like, and I remember the first time you told me that in episode 19. And listeners, go back and listen to episode 19 because that was the first episode that you were on board here as a guest, basically. And then from that, it was like, well, yeah, if you're going to be around, let's just co-host this. And you've been around for 31 episodes. But that it was so funny for me to find out like that you were stressed about it, because the second I saw your application, I was like, fuck yeah, he's gonna be great. That's perfect. Like the right kind of attitude. So
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we should start bringing this ship into harbor. We talked a lot about the past and the current and the future. Future things. I just want to put this out there on the into the world, and I might have said it already, but I want to put out the vision and mission for Laughing Vikings, and we can talk about specifics as far as how that relates to the podcast. But our mission for Laughing Vikings is to uplift, inspire, and empower a global audience of 1 billion with a B, 1 billion people by helping 1,000 actor/comedians produce and share their stories via TV, film, and live shows. One more time, Laughing Vikings' mission is to inspire, uplift, and empower a global audience of 1 billion people by helping 1,000 actors and comedians produce and share their own stories via TV, film, and live events. And we're starting to do it already. We've got a great base of actors where we're helping them get out there. The next step is to eventually produce our own TV series, our own feature films, and the community of people here, so that eventually, just like Happy Madison is to Adam Sandler or Heartbeat Productions is to Kevin Hart, is so that we're just green lighting our own projects and we're funding our own projects and having a massive impact globally through TV, film, and through the stand-up world of live events. So that's where we're looking. That's a big, hairy goal. And the math on that is, if I help 1,000 people, I'm assuming all those 1,000 people will have a reach of 1 million when you add in social media and streaming views and Netflix views or theatrical debuts of feature films. So to me, help 1,000 people, then broadcast that to 1 million. 1,000 million is 1 billion, I believe. So that's how we're going to do it.
And in the more direct future, what we're going to be searching for, especially with this podcast, we're going to be searching out more people with specializations in the acting world. So next week, we might as well feature this now. Sure. Next week, we are actually going to be talking with Taz Garcia about his book, How to Make It From No to Whoa Budget. And this is going to be Taz. You already did an interview with Taz a couple months ago, at the beginning of the pandemic.
Right in the middle of the pandemic, yeah.
And this book hadn't come out yet. And so we're going to be directly talking with him about this book, about how we can take a small production and then make it even bigger, or how to take like a pitch and work on that. So we're going to be focusing more on smaller aspects, but also very direct aspects. So we're going to be focusing on stage combat and several different aspects of stage combat, voiceover and several different aspects of voiceover, especially commercial and cartoons or anime or stuff like that. We're going to be really diving into and trying to learn as many facets of the business as we humanly can to become more well-rounded performers ourselves, and also because we hunger for this stuff. We want to know more about the business. We want to know more about what people are doing to sustain themselves when they're not acting, and B, what they're also passionate about with the acting business as a whole. And like I'm very excited for season 2. I'm very excited to be talking about all these different aspects of acting and all these different fantastic artists.
Right. Yeah. Next week, Taz is amazing. He's a class act. He's such a fucking pro in everything that he does. He's a fantastic actor. He's producer, director. He's constantly writing and creating his own projects.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually, by the time he's on the podcast, he's also going to be plugging his second book, From Zero to Hero.
Yep.
So that'll be great. So tune in next week if you're an actor or a filmmaker, especially an actor who wants to create their own things, but maybe doesn't have $1 million budget. You can learn a ton from Taz. He's super inspiring. And to reiterate what Brandon said, this second season of Laughing Vikings, or our pivot, is going to be delving into more experts in all areas. So again, voiceover, voice and speech, stage combat. We're going to have producers on, directors on, casting directors on, agents on, and we'll accept, if you're watching, listening right now, if there's an aspect of the business that you want to learn more about, and even if it's more behind the scenes, maybe you were like, oh, I'm fascinated by lighting and I want a lighting expert, or I'm fascinated by editing or how to score things, like any of those aspects. Maybe it's the physicality of it, so it's working out, or it's breath and voice and speech coach and breathing and so all of those things. Some of our guests, up until now, most of our guests have been our peers and actors in our community and comedians in our community, which has been amazing for us to showcase those, and we're going to continue to do that. But the format moving forward is most likely going to be an episode where Brandon and I are here together, sort of what we'd call our solo or duo episodes, where it's just us.
Mm-hmm.
Then a week where we have an expert on to teach and to talk and to share about their expertise. And then we'll also cycle in the odd community member, the odd actor here as well, to showcase their work and talk about their origin story and get their aspects and input. But a real shift into up-leveling our expertise as we continue to grow. And that relates to me. For those who don't know, I'm now in a 8-month conservatory deep dive with Tom Todoroff studio out of New York. So literally 4 days a week for 5 hours a day, I'm in voice and speech class and Shakespeare class and movement class and voiceover class and improv class and film history class and theater history class. So I'm going as deep dive as you could possibly do, really. But I also, as we grow, we want to share that with you. So ideally, we'll have some of those instructors on the podcast as well as people from Toronto, from Vancouver, from Montreal, from LA. So if you do have suggestions, either for specific guests or for specific topics, and you want to hear an hour deep dive, then make sure to reach out to us. Hit us up at Laughing Vikings, or when you're on these live, suggest topic in the comments. Or shoot us an email, lol@laughingvikings.com. And if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe, whatever platforms you're on. We're going deep. And if you're ready for this journey, go deep with us, which means if you haven't done things like subscribe to the podcast, do it. Give us a review, give us a rating, and share this out too. If you're getting any value from this on a weekly basis, please share this out with your actor friends, because you can share some of this joy and some of this knowledge and expertise with them. And hopefully, if we've impacted your life, you can share some of that impact with them. So please do that.
So before we go on to our final segment, we do want to talk about what is going on at Comedy Alley this week, Lars.
Ooh.
So we have 3 shows this week, don't we?
Yeah, we got 3 shows. Normally it's every Friday, Saturday at 9. This once a month we do the Ladies' Night of Laughter, where we have a guest host. Where are we here? Sabrina Douglas is the guest host. She does once a month on a Thursday. This is the second one. It's either all female or female LGBTQ2S friendly comics. Sabrina's hosting. This week we have Allie Pierce, Leanne Malowden, and It's it's a sketch duo, Coco and shoot, I'm missing it. They're pictured right there. They have a fancy duo name, and I'm blanking on it right now because I've been crying so much today. But it's what is it? You'll go to the website. It's all on the website. If you go to laughingvikings.com/comedy alley, apologies for not remembering their sketch duo, but that's going to be a little different too. So we've got a stand-up host, 2 stand-up guests, a sketch comedy duo, and a couple special guests who will be here as well. So ladies, especially if you're looking for a ladies night out, go to laughingvikings.com/comedy alley. And on Friday, we have, you want to bring up Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Friday, I'll be back as the regular host. We have Rochelle Lozan. We have Jillian Bartolucci. We have Jean Paul. And we have Rena Taylor Friday. That's going to be a great lineup as well.
Yeah,
and
I'm
Saturday, we have, Saturday is a special one. We've got Patrick Hakeem, Dave Martin, Garrett Jameson, Monty Scott, and I goofed and I got to add him to the poster, Adrian Sawyer. This is unofficially going to be called Gone Postal Comedy because Adrian is also a mailman. I believe Dave Martin used to be a mailman, and they're inviting some of their Canada Post people. That Saturday show, we've already sold 16 tickets, so there's only 4 tickets left for Saturday. So Saturday, chances are, if you're watching or listening, it's going to be sold out. Sorry, unless you go on the website literally right now and buy the last 4 tickets because we're going to be jammed. So huge weekend here. Love Comedy Alley. It's growing and it's growing every single week. We get bigger and better crowds. I love it. We're going to do them as long as we can, weather permitting. And even when it turns winter, maybe we'll figure it a way. If all goes well, maybe I'll be able to install a retractable roof just like the Sky Dome, and we'll just have a winterized Comedy Alley here. Pump for that. And Comedy Alley is a huge thing that that I'm so happy that we've evolved to that. So we have sort of the internal workings of Laughing Vikings and the internal productions of helping people with auditions and voiceover and podcasting here in the studio. But now we have this front-facing arm of Laughing Vikings in the form of Comedy Alley, where we're able to showcase literally the top comedians in Canada, people who have done Just for Laughs, all of the festivals, headline comedy clubs all over the world. And you can see them up close and personal in an intimate venue with only 20 people at a price that we could charge 4 times the amount, because every time you come, you're seeing 4 to 5 bona fide headlining pro comedians for 1 ticket price, and you can sit 6 feet away from them and get to see them up close and personal while they're warming up for Just for Laughs or JFL 42 or Winnipeg Comedy Fest or Halifax Comedy Fest. So it's magic. If you haven't been here at Comedy Alley, you got to come. And if you don't, sooner or later, we're just going to be booked out months and months in advance, and you just won't be part of the club. You'll miss out.
So get your tickets at laughingvikings.com/comedy alley.
Who needs tickets? Get your tickets here. Who needs them? Who's buying? Who's selling? Who needs them? Who's buying? Who's selling? Yes. And one more thing. You got something to inspire us with?
I do. So we like to do a quote to inspire our week. We look at quotes from everything and anyone, but we try and theme it to the episode. So this quote today comes from Nelson Mandela. And this quote is, "Remember to celebrate milestones as you prepare for the road ahead." And I think this goes hand in hand with what we have been doing today and what we have been revisiting and what we have been talking about. We need to celebrate your moments, your victories. Don't ever let them slip by you. But remember, you have a path, you have a dream, you have things that you're aiming towards, and never stop fighting for that. You can do it. We know you can. Remember that there are things in this world that will get in your way, but the more you keep going, the more you keep grinding, the more you keep plowing through those uncertainties and those pitfalls that are in your way, the stronger, the better you will become, and the sweeter the nectar will be when you grasp that goal that you're working towards. Trust me.
I'm snapping at all that. Yeah, that's great. Celebrate. And I think I've heard some people say this is so important just to think back what you've accomplished as well. We so often are so hyper focused on the future, or often we're thinking about the bad things in the past, and we're ruminating on the shitty things that happened in the past, and we're worrying about future things. Meanwhile, we're not really realizing like the now that we're in and how that is built on all these accomplishments. So yeah, take the time to celebrate and understand. I think someone has said there's a past version of yourself that would kill to be who you are right now. Like everything that Laughing Vikings is right now, 5 years ago, if I could snap my fingers and have that would have blown my mind. It's been a lot of work, but never forget that and other people too. Like you might be thinking, oh man, like I haven't booked the big role I want, or the big project that I want, or I'm not making quite enough money as I want. And other people might be looking at you thinking, fuck, if only I could have what that guy has, man, then my life would be perfect. So one of the lessons is never mind what other people are doing, just focus on what you're doing, but also just remember that you are amazing, you are powerful, and chances are you've done already some amazing things. And the more you remind yourself of that, the more you'll remind yourself of that power and of your abilities, and just realize like, holy fuck, yeah, I have done a lot, and this is just the beginning, but there's more to come.
Snaps to that. I love
always
it.
Always end on snaps.
Always end on snaps.
All right.
So Adam has something to say. Don't always look at the things you're doing wrong. Look at the things you're doing right. And that is 100% true. That is awesome, Adam.
Good one, Adam. Yeah. Way to get in the last word here. All right. We gotta call it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in, share this out. Hit us up at laughingvikings.com. If you're an actor, we do the first audition session free. You can go to laughingvikings.com/gift. Our gift to you is the opportunity to level up and transform your auditioning. If you have any level of stress over auditions right now, every time you get a self-tape, I got to set up lights, and I got to move my home studio, and I got to bug a friend, or I got to bug my wife, and what about the Wi-Fi, and what about the mics, and any of that stuff? All of that is affecting your performance. And if you want to come to a community where it's just going to be more fun, and you don't have to think about anything but what you have to do to play in between action and cut, it's our gift to you. You can come try one on the house, and I fucking guarantee you, if you come once with BK Broiler, you're going to get addicted, and you're going to be like, he's my guy. I got to go to the Broiler every time I got audition. He's my good luck charm. And there's a lot of actors in Toronto right now who you are their good luck charm. So thank you again. Hit us up. Come see us at Comedy Alley. You want to enjoy a show. And yeah, here's to the future. Here's my empty glass of Red Bull. We'll cheers an empty glass.
Empty glasses.
To the next 50, and then the next 500, and the next 5,000, until this captain's hat is all aboard the Laughing Vikings silent yacht. And the future, when we are uplifting, inspiring, and empowering a global audience of 1 billion fucking people, because we've helped 1,000 performers produce and share their stories via TV, film, and live events.
Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic week. We love you all. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
I got to clear out all these onions here. I put all the onions around so I'd tear up. I got to.
We're going to have to clean that up.